She was a billionaire heiress trapped in a crumpled car on a rain-soaked highway, certain her life was ending, until a stranger with steady hands and a calm voice cut her free and disappeared into the night. He was a mechanic who'd learned long ago that saving people came with a cost, and the last thing he needed was a woman from a world that would never accept him walking into his carefully guarded life. But when she tracked him down with an impossible request to restore her dead mother's vintage Mustang, he made a choice that would change everything. What started as a simple job became something neither of them expected. A love story tested by gossip, judgment, and the crushing weight of two worlds colliding. She would risk her reputation to prove their connection was real, and he would risk his heart to believe he was worthy of being chosen. But when a single photograph threatened to destroy the fragile trust they'd built, both had to answer one question. Do you run from love when it gets hard, or do you fight for the person who taught you how to breathe again? If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from. Because this story proves that sometimes the most broken moments lead to the most beautiful beginnings. The rain came down in sheets. Eva Harrington gripped the steering wheel harder as her wipers fought to keep the windshield clear. It was 8:15 on a Thursday night, and the coastal highway stretched dark and empty ahead. She'd stayed too late at the gallery downtown. Her father had texted twice asking when she'd be home. She should have left an hour ago. The tire blew without warning. 1 second, Eva was driving straight. The next, the car jerked hard to the right. Her stomach dropped. She yanked the wheel left, but the car wouldn't listen. It fishtailed across the wet road, tires screaming. The guardrail rushed toward her, metal and concrete, and no time to think. The impact threw her forward. The airbag exploded in her face, white and chemical-smelling. Her ears rang. Her chest hurt where the seatbelt had locked tight. She couldn't breathe right. Eva tried to open her door. It wouldn't budge. The front end of her SUV was crumpled against the guardrail, steam rising from the hood. Rain poured through a crack in the windshield. Her hands shook so bad she could barely hold them still. She couldn't think, couldn't move, just sat there with her heart hammering and her breath coming too fast. Then headlights appeared behind her. A truck pulled onto the shoulder, hazards flashing. A man got out and ran toward her car, his jacket already soaked through. He knocked on her window. "Can you hear me?" Eva nodded, still frozen. "I'm going to open your door, okay? Just stay still." The door was jammed. He tried the handle twice, then moved to the passenger side. That one opened. He climbed in carefully, rain dripping off his shoulders. "I'm Micah," he said. His voice was calm, steady. "You're okay. We're going to get you out." "I can't. My belt." Eva's voice cracked. He pulled a small utility knife from his pocket. "I'm cutting the belt. Don't move." He worked quickly, slicing through the fabric. The pressure on her chest released. She gasped. "Good. Now breathe with me. In through your nose," he demonstrated. "Out through your mouth." Eva tried. Her hands still shook. "Count 5 things you can see," Micah said, still calm. "Out loud." "What?" 5 things. It'll help." Eva's eyes darted around the dark car. "Rain, steam, my phone, your jacket, the guardrail." "Good. Now 4 things you can touch." She put her hand on the dashboard. "This, the seat, my sweater, the door." Her breathing slowed a little. Micah checked her pupils with his phone flashlight. "Any pain? Besides your chest?" "No, I don't think so." "Okay, ambulance is on the way. I called before I got out." He glanced at the cracked windshield. "You hit hard, but the airbag did its job. You're going to be fine." Eva looked at him for the first time. He had dark eyes and short hair, wet from the rain. He wore work pants and boots, like he'd been coming from a job. He didn't look scared at all. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet. We're sitting in the rain." That made her laugh, just a little. The sound surprised her. Sirens wailed in the distance. Micah stayed with her until the paramedics arrived. He answered their questions while Ava sat on the ambulance bumper, wrapped in a blanket. She watched him talk to the tow truck driver, pointing at her car. He handed over some information, nodded, then turned back toward his truck. Eva stood up fast. "Wait," he stopped. I don't know how to thank you." Micah shook his head. "You don't need to. Can I at least get your number? To follow up, or to pay for your jacket? It's ruined." "It's just water." He pulled a paper towel from his truck and wrote something down with a pen from his console. "Here's the tow company. Your car's going to their yard tonight. They'll call you in the morning." He started to walk away again. "Please." Eva held out her hand. It still shook. "Your name. At least tell me your name." He hesitated, then took the paper towel back and added 2 words above the phone number. "Micah C." Then he climbed into his truck and drove away, taillights disappearing into the rain. Eva looked down at the paper towel in her hand. The ink was already bleeding, but she could still read it. She folded it carefully and put it in her pocket. At 10:10 that night, Eva sat in her kitchen. The rain hadn't stopped. She'd showered and changed into dry clothes, but she couldn't shake the feeling of the airbag hitting her face, the sound of metal crunching, the way her chest had hurt when she couldn't breathe. She pulled out the paper towel and smoothed it on the counter. "Micah C." She opened her laptop and typed, "Micah C. plus garage plus coastal." 3 results came up. One was a body shop in the next county. One was a locksmith. The third was a forum post about Cole's Garage near Bayview. Honest work, fair prices. She picked up her phone and dialed the tow company number from the paper towel. "Bayview Towing." "Hi, my car was towed tonight from the coastal highway, around 8:30. A man stopped to help me, and I think he might have been the one who called you. His name was Micah?" The dispatcher paused. "Probably Micah Cole. He's got a garage not far from here. Calls us when he sees trouble on the road. Good guy." "Do you have his number?" "I can't give that out, ma'am, but I can tell you it's Cole's Garage on Elm Street, near the Bayview post office." Eva thanked him and hung up. She found the garage number online and dialed. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. "You've reached Cole's Garage. Leave a message." The beep made her freeze. What was she supposed to say? "Hi, this is Eva, the woman you helped tonight on the highway. I wanted to say thank you properly. I'd like to stop by tomorrow if that's okay. Just to say it in person. Thank you again." She hung up and sat in the quiet kitchen, listening to the rain. At 7:40 the next morning, Eva locked her townhouse door and walked to her backup car. A small sedan she barely drove. She wore jeans and a raincoat. No heels, no jewelry. She'd put a thermos of hot coffee and a paper bag of cinnamon rolls on the passenger seat. She didn't know why she was nervous. The garage sat on a corner lot in a neighborhood she'd never visited before. The building was small and brick, with 2 bay doors and a hand-painted sign that said Cole's Garage in block letters. An old truck was parked out front next to a sedan with its hood up. Eva parked on the street and grabbed the thermos and bag. Her hands felt empty without her phone, but she'd left it in the car on purpose. She walked up to the open bay door. Inside, 2 men stood over the engine. One was older, wearing a faded ball cap. The other was Micah. He looked up when her shadow crossed the doorway. "Morning," he said. He didn't sound surprised. "Morning." Eva held up the bag. "I brought breakfast, if you have a minute." The older man looked between them, then grinned. I'll check the parts order in the office." He disappeared through a side door. Micah wiped his hands on a rag and walked over. "You didn't have to do that." "I know." Eva set the bag on a workbench. "But I wanted to. You helped me when I couldn't think straight. That means something." "You're welcome." He studied her for a second. "How are you feeling?" "Sore, but okay." "Good." They stood there awkwardly. Eva's carefully rehearsed speech evaporated. "Actually," she said, "I came to ask you something else." Micah crossed his arms. Not defensive, just waiting. "My mother passed away 2 years ago," Eva said. The words came easier than she expected. She had a 1968 Mustang, red. She loved that car more than anything. It's been in storage since she died, and I want to restore it. Bring it back the way she'd remember it." Micah nodded slowly. "That's a good thing to do." "I'd like to hire you to do the work." His expression shifted, guarded now. "You don't know me. I know you didn't leave me on that highway. I know you didn't take the cash I tried to give you. That tells me enough. This isn't a favor you owe me. I'm not asking for a favor." Eva's voice stayed steady. "I'm asking to hire you. Fair rates, a written estimate, scheduled check-ins, no publicity, just the work." Micah was quiet. He looked past her, out at the street, then back. "I don't want complications," he said finally. "No entanglements, no surprises." "Neither do I." Before he could answer, a car door slammed outside. A woman's voice called out, "Micah, I'm dropping Noah off early. Double shift today." A boy ran through the door, backpack bouncing. He couldn't have been more than 8. He skidded to a stop when he saw Eva, suddenly shy. "Morning, Noah," Micah said. "This is Miss Eva." "Hi," Noah said quietly. The woman, Ruth, Micah's sister, appeared behind him. She looked tired but alert, her nurse's scrubs visible under her jacket. Her eyes landed on Eva with the sharp attention of someone used to reading people fast. "Everything okay?" Ruth asked. "Yeah, just talking business." Micah's tone was easy, but Eva saw Ruth's gaze linger. "Miss Eva wants Uncle Micah to fix a car," Noah said suddenly. "What kind?" Eva smiled. "A 1968 Mustang." Noah's eyes went wide. "A Mustang? Like the red one in the poster?" "Exactly like that." Ruth touched Noah's shoulder. "You've got homework in your bag. Go set up at the desk in the office, okay?" Noah ran off. Ruth looked at Eva again, then at Micah. "I'll pick him up at 6. She left without another word. Micah rubbed the back of his neck. "My nephew. He lives with me." "He seems sweet." "He is." Micah's voice softened. "Which is why I'm careful about what I bring into his life. No drama, no cameras, no mess." "I understand." Eva pulled a folded paper from her pocket. "Here's the storage facility address. I can bring the title and keys this afternoon if you want to look at the car first. No commitment until you say yes." Micah took the paper. He read it, then looked at her. "Standard rates," he said. "I'll write up an estimate after I see it. You pay half up front, half when it's done. I don't rush, and if anyone asks, you hired me because I do good work, not because of what happened on the highway." "Deal." They shook hands. His grip was firm and warm. "I'll bring the keys at lunch," Eva said. "Lunch works?" By 12:40 that afternoon, Eva's mother's Mustang sat in the garage bay, still on the trailer. The car was dusty and sad-looking, the paint dull under the fluorescent lights. But the lines were still beautiful. Micah walked around it slowly, hands in his pockets. Eva stood back and let him work. "Rust on the wheel wells," he said. "Undercarriage needs a full check. Engine's going to need a rebuild, probably." "You have the original parts?" "Some, My mother kept them in boxes. Good. He crouched down and looked under the frame. This is going to take time. Couple months, maybe more if I have to source rare parts. That's fine. He stood and pulled a notepad from his pocket. I'll draft a parts list by Monday. You can approve it before I order anything. What's your usual process? Eva asked. Micah glanced up. What do you mean? How do you like to work? Do you want me here checking in, or would you rather I stay away until it's done? He paused. Most clients wanted updates every other day, wanted to hover, wanted to control the timeline. I'll send you photos every Friday, he said. You can stop by any time during work hours. Just text first so I know you're coming. That sounds perfect. Noah appeared at the office door, homework in hand. Can I see? Micah nodded. Come here. Quiet, though. Noah tiptoed over like the car might wake up. His eyes were huge. It's like the poster, he whispered. It is, Micah said. And you're going to help. You're junior inspector. That means you check things off a list for me after school. Think you can do that? Noah nodded so hard his whole body moved. Eva felt something tight in her chest loosen. Micah grabbed a wrench and loosened the first bolt on the engine cover. The sound echoed in the quiet garage. First step, he said. Eva stepped closer. Can I help? He handed her a shop towel. Hold this. By 5:50, Eva's hands were smudged with grease. Her hair had come loose from its clip. She was smiling. I'll bring coffee tomorrow morning, she said as she grabbed her jacket. 8? 8 works. The next morning, Eva arrived at exactly 8 hours with 2 black coffees and a signed contract. The deposit check was clipped to the estimate, the exact amount Micah had quoted, not $1 more. You didn't have to bring coffee every day, Micah said as he took the cup. I want to. Is that okay? He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Yeah, it's okay. They worked through the morning. Micah taught Eva how to label parts in small plastic bags so nothing got lost. He showed her how to read the manual for the engine rebuild. He didn't talk down to her. He just explained things clearly, like she'd asked a good question. At one point, she asked, What do I do if I start panicking again? Like on the highway? Micah set down his wrench. You remember the counting? 5 things I can see. 4 things you can touch. 3 you can hear. 2 you can smell. 1 you can taste. It works because it pulls you back into your body, out of your head. Does it always work? Not always, but it helps. Eva nodded. She filed that away. By 6 that evening, the garage smelled like motor oil and old metal. Micah closed the bay door and locked up. Eva lingered by her car. Same time tomorrow? She asked. Same time. The next morning, Eva's father was waiting at the breakfast table when she came downstairs. Graham Harrington was a quiet man, but his silence carried weight. He set down his newspaper and gestured to the chair across from him. Tell me about this garage, he said. Eva poured herself coffee and sat. I hired a mechanic to restore Mom's Mustang. The man who helped you on the highway? Yes. Eva. Dad, it's fair. I'm paying him what the work is worth. He's not doing me a favor. Graham folded his hands. I'm not questioning his integrity. I'm questioning whether you understand how this looks. A woman with your resources hiring a man who saved her life? Do you see how that tilts the room? Eva's jaw tightened. I'm being careful. There's a contract. No publicity. He set the boundaries, not me. Good people get hurt when power pretends to be invisible, Graham said quietly. I just want you to think about that. Eva stood. I have thought about it. I'll see you tonight. She grabbed her jacket and left. On the drive to the garage, she texted Micah. Running 10 minutes late, traffic. His reply came fast. All good, be safe. She read it twice before putting the phone away. Over the next few days, the work became routine. Eva showed up at 8 with coffee. Micah explained what needed to happen. Noah did his homework at the desk and asked 100 questions about engines. The Mustang slowly came apart, piece by labeled piece. On Thursday, Eva got an email from a lifestyle magazine. They wanted to feature her in a community collaboration story, something about local businesses and unexpected friendships. She deleted it without answering. Micah noticed. "Everything okay?" "Fine." Eva set her phone face down on the workbench. "Just noise." He studied her for a second, then went back to the fuel line he was checking. That evening, Eva packed dinner, roasted chicken, carrots, and rolls, and brought it to the garage at 6:55. "Only if you eat some too," Micah had said when she'd asked that morning. Ruth arrived at 7 to pick up Noah. She saw the food spread out on the workbench and the paper plates Eva had brought. "Staying for dinner?" Ruth asked. "If that's okay?" Ruth set her purse down slowly. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you here for him or for you?" Eva met her eyes. "For him, for the car, for what it means. And if this becomes a story, if people start talking?" "Then I'll walk away first," Eva said. "Before anyone gets hurt." Ruth was quiet, then she nodded once. "We'll see." She left with Noah, and Micah locked the door behind them. He and Eva ate dinner on the workbench, talking about the parts order and the gasket Luis had found at a yard sale. They didn't talk about the highway or her father or the email she'd deleted. But when Micah walked her to her car at 8:10, the rain starting again, he stopped at the driver's door. "Thanks for dinner," he said. "Thank you," Eva said. "For steady." They stood there for a moment longer than necessary. Then Eva got in her car, and Micah stepped back, hands in his pockets. She drove away, the garage lights fading in her mirror. The work became a rhythm. Eva arrived at 7:50 each morning with coffee in a thermos. Micah would be there already, the bay door half open, radio playing something low and steady. Noah's backpack would thump onto the office chair at 3:30 when Ruth dropped him off between shifts. Day 1. Eva labeled parts while Micah calibrated the carburetor. Her handwriting got neater as she learned which details mattered. Day 2. Micah showed her how to check the brake lines for cracks. She held the flashlight steady while he pointed out what to look for. Noah finished his math homework and asked if he could draw the Mustang. Micah said yes. Day 3. Eva sanded rust off a piece of chrome trim while Noah practiced spelling words out loud. Luis stopped by with an update on the parts timeline, 2 weeks for the rare gasket, maybe 3. Eva's phone buzzed during lunch. Another media request. She silenced it and put the phone face down on the workbench without looking. Micah noticed, but didn't ask. By Friday evening, the Mustang's engine sat in pieces on a tarp, every bolt and washer labeled and sorted. It looked like a disaster. But Micah said it was exactly where it needed to be. "You're not worried?" Eva asked. "No, this is the process. You take it apart to see what's broken, then you fix it, then you put it back together better than before." Eva looked at the scattered parts and wondered if he was talking about the car or something else. On Friday night, Ruth came early. She found Eva wiping down tools with a clean rag. "You're still here?" Ruth said. It wasn't a question. "I'm just finishing up." Ruth set her purse on the desk. "Can I ask you something?" Eva straightened. "Sure." "Are you here for us or for you?" The question hit harder than Eva expected. She put the rag down and looked Ruth in the eye. "For him, for the car, for what it means. And if people start talking, if someone takes a picture and puts it online with the wrong story, then I'll walk away first," Eva said, "before anyone gets hurt." Ruth studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded, just once. "Come by tomorrow, 2 o'clock. No cameras, just family. I don't want to intrude. I'm asking, Ruth said. Bring board games if you want, or just bring yourself. Eva's throat felt tight. Okay, I'll be there. Ruth left with Noah, and Micah locked up the garage in silence. When he walked Eva to her car, she stopped at the door. Your sister invited me over tomorrow. I know. She texted me. Is that okay with you? Micah leaned against her car, arms crossed. Ruth doesn't ask people over unless she trusts them, or unless she wants to make sure she should. Which one is this? Both, probably. Eva smiled a little. I'll bring a kite and sandwiches. Is that too much? No, that's good. Saturday afternoon, Eva pulled into the beach parking lot at 1:55. She'd brought a kite, sandwiches, and a bag of chips. Her stomach was doing nervous flips. Micah's truck was already there. He stood by the hood with Ruth and Noah, all three of them looking out at the water. When Eva walked over, Noah grinned. You came? I said I would. Ruth's expression was neutral, but not cold. Let's walk. They spent the first hour on the sand. Noah ran ahead with the kite, trying to get it airborne. It dipped and crashed twice before Micah jogged over and showed him how to let the wind catch it right. The kite lifted, red and yellow against the gray sky. Eva and Ruth stood back, watching. He talks about the Mustang every night, Ruth said. Asks when it'll be done, draws pictures of it. I've seen the drawings. They're good. He doesn't get attached to people easy. Lost his parents young. He's careful now. Eva nodded. She understood what Ruth wasn't saying. Don't hurt him. I'll be careful too, Eva said. Ruth looked at her. You better be. After the kite, Micah taught Eva how to change a tire. They used her SUV, jacked up in the parking lot, while Ruth and Noah ate sandwiches on the hood of the truck. Micah explained each step slowly, letting Eva do the work herself. You turn it left to loosen, he said. Right to tighten. Just remember, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Eva laughed. That's what my dad used to say. It's corny, but it works. She got the tire off, then wrestled the spare into place. Her hands were shaking a little, but not from fear, from effort. Good, Micah said. Now tighten it down. Firm, but don't force it. When the tire was on, Eva stood back, breathing hard. I did it. You did. Noah ran over. Can I try next time? When you're taller, Micah said, ruffling his hair. At 5 o'clock, they got back in their cars. Micah rode with Eva while Ruth followed in the truck with Noah. They drove the beach road at 25 miles an hour, windows down, the ocean on their left. How does it feel? Micah asked. Scary, but good. That's normal. You're rewiring your brain. It takes time. Eva gripped the wheel and focused on the road. She counted 5 things she could see. The yellow line, the guardrail, the waves, a bird, Micah's hand resting on the console. Her breathing steadied. By the time the sun started to set, they were back at the parking lot. Micah buckled Noah into Ruth's truck, then walked back to Eva's car. This was good, he said. Eva nodded, her cheeks wind-stung and pink. Let's make more good. Monday morning, Luis showed up at the garage with bad news. Gasket's delayed, he said, leaning against the workbench. Supplier says 5 more days, maybe a week. Micah's jaw tightened. He didn't say anything, but Eva saw the calculation in his eyes. A delay meant less time for other jobs. Less time meant tighter cash flow. Eva wanted to offer him money, a loan, an advance. But she'd learned enough to know that wasn't what Micah needed. What keeps your schedule stable? She asked instead. Micah looked up. What? If the work on the Mustang is stalled, what? Do you need to stay on track with everything else? Predictable hours. Time to finish the other jobs without distractions. Then let me help with the small stuff. Sweeping, Tagging parts, answering the phone, whatever frees you up. Micah started to shake his head. Not for free, Eva said. And not as a favor, just as part of the project. The car's taking longer, so I'm here anyway. Let me be useful. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, you can start by organizing the hardware bins. They're a mess. Eva smiled. Done. She spent the rest of the day sorting bolts and screws into labeled containers while Micah worked on a brake job for another client. It wasn't glamorous. Her back hurt by noon. But when Micah looked over at 7 and saw the clean, organized shelves, something in his face softened. You didn't fix it with money, he said quietly. You never fixed me with heroics, Eva replied. Tuesday afternoon, Graham Harrington walked into the garage. Eva was at the parts store picking up supplies. Micah was at the workbench with Noah, checking the boys' homework. Luis was out back loading a truck. Graham stood in the doorway, watching. He saw Micah point to a math problem and explain it slowly, patiently, while Noah nodded. He heard Micah say to Luis, who'd come back in, Her name doesn't change the torque. It's still the same job. Graham set a business card on the counter. He didn't say a word. Then he turned and left. When Eva came back 20 minutes later, she saw the card, her father's name in raised letters. She picked it up and stared at it. He didn't say anything, Micah said. Just left it there. Eva pulled out her phone and texted, Next time, say hello. 3 dots appeared, then, soon. She put the phone away and got back to work. Thursday night, the engine was ready to test. Not the whole thing, just the rebuilt core, mounted in the chassis. The car still looked rough, covered in primer and missing its trim. But the heart was beating again. Micah suggested they take it out on the side streets. Low speeds, no risks, just to hear how it ran. Eva drove. Micah sat in the passenger seat with a notebook, listening for problems. They rolled through quiet neighborhoods at 30 miles an hour, the engine purring low and steady. Sounds good, Micah said. No rattles, no misfires. Eva nodded. Her hands were tight on the wheel. You okay? He asked. Can we drive by the place where it happened? Micah looked at her. You sure? I need to. He didn't argue. He just gave her directions. 10 minutes later, they were on the coastal highway. Eva's heart started pounding the moment she saw the guardrail. She slowed to 25, hazard lights on. A car passed them, annoyed. 5 things you see, Micah said quietly. Eva's voice shook. The road, the rail, the ocean, your hand, the steering wheel. 4 things you touch. The wheel, the seat, the shifter, my seatbelt. Her breathing slowed. She drove past the exact spot where she'd crashed. The dent in the guardrail was still there, a dark scrape in the metal. But she didn't panic. She kept driving. 2 miles down, Micah pointed to a pull-off. There, we can stop. Eva parked at the cliff overlook. She put the car in neutral and let the engine idle. The sound filled the quiet space between them. Steady, strong. I did it, she whispered. You did. They sat there in the salt air, the ocean dark and endless below. Eva looked over at Micah. He was watching her, his expression soft. The almost kiss hung between them like a held breath. But neither of them moved. Not yet. Friday evening, Eva sat in the garage office, her phone in her hand. Everyone else had gone home. Micah was closing up the bay doors. She took a breath and opened her voicemail. She scrolled back 2 years and found it. Her mother's voice, bright and breathless. Eva, honey, I'm at the storage place with the Mustang. I know you think I'm silly, but I'm telling you, this car is magic. We're going to take it up the coast this summer, all the way to the lighthouse. Windows down, Motown on the radio. Just you and me, Call me back, okay? Love you. The message ended. Ava's chest hurt. Micah came into the office and stopped when he saw her face. You okay? Eva played the message again, this time out loud. Her mother's voice filled the small room, full of life and hope and plans that never happened. When it ended, Micah sat down across from her. My dad used to say engines are promises you keep with your hands, he said quietly. Every bolt you tighten, every part you replace, it's you saying, I'll take care of this. I won't let it fall apart. Eva looked at him. I want to keep her promise. The drive she never got to take. Then we'll finish the car, and you'll take it. Will you come with me? Micah nodded. Yeah, I'll come. The space between them felt smaller. Eva leaned forward. Micah met her halfway. The kiss was slow, unhurried. It tasted like motor oil and coffee, and something Eva couldn't name but didn't want to lose. When they pulled back, Noah's drawing of the Mustang slipped off the corkboard and fluttered to the floor. They both laughed, the sound breaking the tension. Guess that's a sign, Micah said, picking up the drawing. A good one or a bad one? He smiled. Good. Saturday morning, Eva brought lunch to the garage at 11:15. She'd made sandwiches and bought lemonade from the diner down the street. She felt light, happy. Then her phone dinged, a text from a friend. Is this you? A link to a gossip blog. The headline read, Heiress slums for image rehab at neighborhood garage. Below it was a photo, grainy, taken from across the street, of Eva walking into the garage with a coffee thermos. The caption said she was trying to seem relatable after months of high society isolation. Ava's stomach dropped. She walked into the garage. Micah was at the workbench. He looked up and saw her face. What's wrong? She showed him the phone. Micah read it, his expression going flat. He set the phone down carefully. I didn't leak this, Eva said quickly. I didn't tell anyone. I don't know who. I know you didn't. Then why do you look like that? Micah rubbed his face. Because it doesn't matter who did. It's out there now, and people are going to read it and think things. About you, about me, about why we're spending time together. So we ignore it. We keep going. I can't. His voice was quiet but firm. I have to think about Noah, about Ruth, about what happens when people start showing up here to take pictures or ask questions. I can't have that in his life. Micah, I need space, just for a few days, to think. Eva felt like the ground was falling away. I'm not going to spin this into some PR story. I won't make it worse. I know. He looked at her, and his eyes were sad. But I still need time. Eva set the untouched lunch on the workbench. She whispered, I'll give you the time you asked for. Then she left. Micah stood alone in the garage. He locked up early, his chest heavy, and drove home in silence. Monday morning felt wrong. Eva sat in her kitchen at 8 o'clock, the time she would have been pulling into the garage. Her coffee went cold while she stared at the window. Rain streaked down the glass. She wanted to text Micah, to call, to show up and say they could figure this out together. But he'd asked for space, and she had to respect that. Instead, she went to her storage unit and brought home the boxes of chrome trim from her mother's Mustang. She spread newspaper on her dining room table and started polishing. The work was slow, meditative. Her hands moved in circles, buffing away years of dust and oxidation. She thought about the voicemail, the promise of a coastal drive, the way her mother's voice had sounded so sure that they'd have time. By 6 that evening, 3 pieces of trim gleamed like new. Ava's shoulders ached. Her fingers were cramped. But the work felt good, like she was keeping a promise, even if she was doing it alone. At the same time, Micah stood in the garage, finishing the wiring on the Mustang's dashboard. Luis had left an hour ago. The building was quiet, except for the hum of the overhead lights. He'd worked through the weekend, focusing on the car because he didn't know what else to do. Every bolt he tightened felt like an apology he couldn't say out loud. Ruth found him there at 7, still under the hood. "You're going to burn yourself out," she said. Micah straightened. "I'm fine." "You're not." Ruth leaned against the workbench. "You haven't eaten, you barely slept, and you've been avoiding my calls. I'm working. You're hiding." Micah wiped his hands on a rag. "I asked for space, that's all." "From her, or from yourself?" He didn't answer. Ruth sighed. "Space isn't absence, Micah. You can take a breath without shutting the door. What if I bring trouble into Noah's life? What if people start showing up here, asking questions, taking pictures? I can't risk that." "So, you'd rather risk losing someone who showed up every day for 2 months? Someone who learned your work, respected your boundaries, and didn't try to fix you with money?" Micah looked at his sister. "What if I'm not enough for her world? Did she ever make you feel like you weren't?" He thought about Eva labeling parts, sanding rust, sitting on the garage floor with Noah, helping him sound out spelling words, driving past the crash site even though her hands shook. "No," he said quietly. "Then stop deciding for her." Ruth picked up her purse. "Finish the car, then figure out what you really want." She left. Micah stood alone in the garage, looking at the Mustang. It was nearly done. Another week, maybe 2, and it would be ready. He pulled out the invoice and stamped it. Paid in full. The deposit Eva had given him covered everything. Fair, clean, no debts. He placed the keys in a small dish and stared at them for a long time before turning off the lights. Tuesday morning, Eva sat at her kitchen table with a pen and paper. Not her laptop, not her phone, just a blank sheet and her own handwriting. She wrote slowly, crossing out words, starting over. By the time the sun came through the window, she'd filled 1 page. "Micah, I don't know if you'll read this, but I needed to write it anyway. Thank you for stopping on the highway that night. You didn't have to, but you did. You stayed calm when I couldn't breathe. You didn't leave until you knew I was safe. Thank you for restoring my mother's car. Not just the engine and the paint, but what it means. You treated it like a promise, not a project. Thank you for showing me that I could do more than I thought, that I could label parts and sand rust and drive past the place that scared me. You never made me feel small, even when I didn't know what I was doing. I don't want to make this harder for you or Noah or Ruth. If staying away is what you need, I'll do that. But I want you to know that these past 2 months have meant something to me. More than I knew how to say while I was there. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. Eva." She folded the letter and put it in an envelope. No return address. Just his name on the front. At 8:10, she drove to the garage. The bay doors were closed. No one was there yet. She slid the envelope under the door and sat in her car for one long breath. Then she drove away. Wednesday afternoon, Micah unlocked the office and saw the envelope on the floor. He picked it up and turned it over. His name in Eva's handwriting. He sat at the desk and opened it carefully. He read the letter twice, then a third time. By the time he finished, his throat felt tight. She hadn't asked for anything, hadn't pushed, hadn't tried to fix the situation with words or promises. She'd just said thank you and given him space. Micah folded the letter and put it in his pocket. Then he looked at the Mustang, still, sitting in the bay, nearly finished. He made a decision. At 5:40 that evening, Eva heard an engine outside her townhouse. She looked out the window and froze. The Mustang sat at the curb, gleaming red under the streetlights. Micah stood beside it, hands in his pockets. Eva grabbed her jacket and went outside. "Hi," Micah said. "Hi. I finished it." He gestured to the car. "Wanted to bring it to you myself." Eva walked slowly down the steps. The Mustang looked perfect. The paint shone. The chrome trim, her chrome trim, caught the light. The engine hummed, low and steady. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Micah pulled an envelope from his jacket. "Invoice, stamped paid in full. Your deposit covered everything. We're square." Eva took it, her hands shaking slightly. "You didn't have to." "I did. No debts, no favors. Just clean work for fair pay." He held out the keys. "The car's yours. The title's in the glove box. You can take it anywhere." Eva looked at the keys in his palm, then at him. "Drive with me?" she asked. Micah studied her face, then he nodded once. "Yeah, I'll drive with you." They pulled onto the coastal highway at 6:30. The sun was low, turning the ocean gold and orange. Eva drove carefully, keeping to the right lane. Micah sat in the passenger seat, quiet but present. "Where do you want to go?" he asked. "The place where it began." They drove in silence until they reached the curve. The guardrail still had the dent from Eva's crash, a scar in the metal. She pulled onto the shoulder, hazard lights blinking. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "I was scared that night," Eva said finally. "Not just of the crash, of everything, of being alone, of not being enough, of losing the last piece of my mother and not knowing how to hold on to it." "You held on," Micah said, "because you helped me. You did the work. I just showed you where to start." Eva turned to face him. "Why did you pull over that night? You didn't know me? You could have kept driving." Micah was quiet for a long moment. "My dad died when I was 16. Car accident on a rainy road. Someone stopped to help, but it was too late. I told myself after that, if I ever saw someone in trouble, I wouldn't drive past. I'd stop." Ava's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." "It's okay. It's why I do what I do. Fixing cars, keeping them safe, it's a way to keep a promise. Like the Mustang. Like the Mustang." They sat in the fading light, the ocean wind whistling under the engine's idle. Eva reached for his hand. He took it. "I'm scared too," Micah said quietly. "Scared I'll be too small for your world. Scared people will look at us and only see differences. Scared Noah will get hurt if this doesn't work." "Then we decide things together," Eva said. "We set boundaries, we protect what matters, and we don't let anyone else write our story." Micah looked at her. "You sure about this?" "I'm sure about you." He leaned across the console. The kiss was slow and steady, like the engine, beneath them. When they pulled back, Eva smiled. "We should probably move before someone calls the cops." Micah laughed. "Probably." Thursday afternoon, Micah labeled a hook in the garage office. Harrington, Sunday drives. He hung a spare key Eva had given him right next to his own set. "That's bold," Luis said, grinning from the doorway. "She said it was okay." "I know. I'm just saying it's bold. You gonna let her keep a key at her place too?" Micah shrugged. "If she wants." Luis laughed. "Man, you got it bad." Micah didn't argue. That evening, he and Eva sat at the workbench with a calendar between them. They marked out practical things, monthly maintenance checks for the Mustang, low-profile dinners, beach days with Noah, schedules that worked around Ruth's shifts and Micah's jobs. "No cameras," Eva said. "No grand gestures," Micah added. "Noah's bedtime is non-negotiable. And if things get hard, we talk. We don't run." They shook on it. Ruth stopped by at 6 to pick up Noah. She saw the calendar and the spare key on the hook. She didn't say anything, just raised an eyebrow at Micah. He smiled a little. Yeah. Ruth's face softened. She pulled out her phone and texted Eva. Dinner Saturday? Bring nothing but yourself. Eva replied with a heart emoji and the words, I'll be there. Saturday evening, the 5 of them sat in a booth at the seaside diner. The place was old, with flaking paint and warm yellow lights. The smell of fried fish and fresh bread filled the air. Ruth and Noah slid into one side. Eva sat next to Micah on the other. The surprise came when Graham Harrington walked through the door. Eva stood halfway out of her seat. Dad? You invited him? Micah asked Ruth quietly. I texted him yesterday, Ruth said. Figured if we're doing family, we do it right. Graham approached slowly. He wore jeans and a sweater, not his usual suit. He looked uncertain. Is there room? He asked. Always, Ruth said, gesturing to the corner. Graham sat. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Noah pulled out his stack of Mustang drawings and pushed them across the table. I drew these, Noah said shyly. For the car. Graham picked up the first one. He studied it carefully. This is excellent work. You got the lines just right. Noah beamed. The conversation started slow and awkward. But by the time the food came, it began to flow. Graham asked Micah about the rebuild. Micah explained the engine work, and Graham listened, really listened, nodding at the technical details. Ruth told a story about Noah trying to take apart her vacuum cleaner to see how it worked. Everyone laughed. Eva felt the tight knot in her chest loosen. At the end of the meal, the server came by with a camera. Would you folks like a picture for the wall? We do it for our regulars? They all looked at each other. Okay, Eva said. But no tags, no names, just for the wall. The server snapped the photo. They all signed the back. Graham, Ruth, Noah, Micah, Eva. November 2024. The server pinned it up behind the counter. Just one more memory among hundreds. Monday morning, Eva's phone buzzed. An email from Marta Kim, the lifestyle reporter who'd reached out weeks ago. Eva opened it carefully. Hi, Eva. I wanted to reach out personally. I refused to run a piece on you and your mechanic friend when my editor suggested it. It felt invasive and reductive. But I saw the gossip post that went around, and I think it deserves a correction. I'd like to publish a short note, no names, just principles. Something about respecting private work and not turning real relationships into clickbait. Would you be comfortable with that? Marta Eva forwarded the email to Micah. He called 5 minutes later. What do you think? She asked. I think if she's willing to keep it brief and respectful, it might help. Stop the noise before it gets louder. Okay, I'll say yes. The post went live that afternoon. It was 3 paragraphs, no photos, no names. Just a clear statement. Private work deserves to stay private. Real relationships don't need publicity to be valid. The comments were mixed, but the noise started to die down. By the end of the week, no one was talking about it anymore. Eva stood beside the Mustang in the garage, her phone face down on the workbench. Coffee? Micah asked. Always. Sunday morning, 1 week later, they took Noah for a short drive up the coast. He sat in the back seat, pointing out every bird and boat he saw. When they dropped him back at Ruth's, Eva and Micah drove alone. The highway stretched ahead, sunlight pouring through the windshield. Eva merged smoothly into traffic, her hand steady on the wheel. Micah rested his hand lightly over hers near the shifter. Not controlling. Just there. You okay? He asked. Better than okay. They drove past the guardrail without slowing. Past the overlook where they'd first kissed. Past the diner where her family had gathered. Eva glanced at Micah. You saved my life that night. You would have been fine. Maybe, but you stayed, and I won't let you drift away now. Micah smiled. Then we keep choosing. Every day. The Mustang hummed down the sunlit road. The ocean sparkled to their left. The future, ordinary, uncertain, and theirs, opened ahead. Eva merged into the fast lane, her foot confident on the gas. Micah's hand stayed warm over hers, and for the first time since the night of the crash, she wasn't afraid. She was home. 3 weeks later, Eva woke to her phone buzzing on the nightstand. She reached for it, squinting at the screen. A text from Micah. Beach day? Noah wants to fly the kite. 10 a.m.? She smiled and typed back. I'll bring sandwiches. Just bring yourself. I've got food covered. Eva set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. The morning light came through the curtains, soft and gold. For the first time in 2 years, she didn't wake up feeling like something was missing. She got up and made coffee, pulled on jeans and a sweater, grabbed her mother's old denim jacket from the closet, the one that still smelled faintly of her perfume. By 9:45, she was pulling into the beach parking lot. Micah's truck was already there, tailgate down. Noah sat on the bumper, kicking his feet and drawing in a sketchbook. You're early, Micah said when Eva walked over. Couldn't sleep. Good dreams or bad dreams? Good ones. Noah looked up from his drawing. Miss Eva, look, I drew you and Uncle Micah in the Mustang. Eva leaned over. The drawing showed 2 stick figures in a red car, both smiling. A sun in the corner, birds in the sky. It's perfect, Eva said. You can keep it, Noah said shyly. Thank you, I'll hang it in my kitchen. Micah handed Eva a thermos of coffee. Ruth's working a double. We've got Noah till 8 tonight. Good, we can make a whole day of it. They walked down to the sand. The beach was mostly empty, just a few joggers and one family with a dog. Noah ran ahead with the kite, its tail streaming red and yellow behind him. Micah and Eva followed slowly, hands in their pockets, shoulders almost touching. Graham called me yesterday, Micah said. Eva looked at him. He did? Asked if I'd take a look at his car. Said the engine's been making a noise. What did you say? I said bring it by Tuesday, standard rate. Eva smiled. He's trying. So am I. They reached the water's edge. Noah was struggling with the kite, the wind pulling it sideways. Micah jogged over and showed him how to angle it into the breeze. The kite lifted, climbing higher and higher until it was just a bright dot against the blue. Noah's laughter carried across the sand. Eva pulled out her phone and took a picture. Not for anyone else, just for herself. At noon, they spread a blanket on the sand and ate sandwiches Micah had packed. Turkey and cheese for Noah, roast beef for Micah, chicken salad for Eva because he'd remembered. Uncle Micah, can we take the Mustang to the lighthouse? Noah asked through a mouthful of chips. That's up to Miss Eva, it's her car. Noah turned his hopeful eyes on Eva. Can we? Please? Eva looked at Micah. The lighthouse was where my mom wanted to go, in the voicemail. I know. I think she'd like it if Noah came with us. Then we'll go, Micah said. Next Sunday, we'll make a day of it. Noah cheered and ran back toward the water, kite string trailing behind him. Eva and Micah sat in the sun, shoulders pressed together now. She leaned her head against him. He wrapped an arm around her. This feels normal, Eva said quietly. Is that bad? No, it's perfect. I spent so long thinking love had to be big and dramatic. But this is better. What is this? Ordinary, real, chosen. Micah kissed the top of her head. Yeah, it is. Tuesday afternoon, Graham pulled into Cole's garage in his silver sedan. Micah was under the hood of a pickup truck, but he straightened when he heard the engine. Mr. Harrington? Graham, please. He got out and gestured to his car. It's making a rattling noise. Probably nothing, but Ava said you were the best. She's biased. Maybe, but I've learned to trust her judgment. Micah grabbed his keys and opened the bay door. Pull it in. Let's take a look. Graham drove the car into the garage and cut the engine. Micah popped the hood and leaned in, listening. After a moment, he reached down and tapped something with his knuckle. Heat shield's loose. Easy fix. 20 minutes. What do I owe you? $40? Parts and labor? Graham nodded. Fair enough. While Micah worked, Graham stood off to the side, hands in his pockets. He looked around the garage, at the tools hung on pegboards, the calendar on the wall, the spare key labeled Harrington, Sunday drives. She's happy, Graham said suddenly. Micah paused, then kept working. Good. I mean, really happy. I haven't seen her like this since before her mother died. Micah didn't respond right away. He tightened a bolt, tested it, then straightened. I'm not trying to replace anyone or fix anything. I'm just here. I know. That's why it works. Graham met his eyes. Her mother would have liked you. Micah's throat tightened. Thank you. Take care of her. I will, and she'll take care of me. That's how it works. Graham smiled a little. That's exactly how it works. Sunday morning arrived clear and bright. Eva picked up Micah and Noah at 9. The Mustang's engine purred as they pulled out of the driveway, Ruth waving from the porch. The drive to the lighthouse took an hour. They rolled through small coastal towns with windows down, Motown playing on the radio, just like Eva's mother had wanted. Noah sang along to My Girl, making up half the words. Micah drummed on the dashboard. Eva smiled so wide her cheeks hurt. They stopped once for gas and ice cream. Noah got chocolate. Micah got vanilla. Eva got strawberry, and they all shared bites. This is the best day ever? Noah announced from the back seat, chocolate smeared on his chin. It's pretty good, Eva agreed. Pretty good? Micah raised an eyebrow. Wow, tough crowd. Okay, fine, it's the best. When they reached the lighthouse, Eva parked in the gravel lot. The old structure stood white and tall against the blue sky, waves crashing on the rocks below. They climbed the spiral stairs inside, Noah counting each step out loud. 112 steps to the top. When they reached the lantern room, the view stretched forever. Ocean and sky and the road they'd just driven, a thin ribbon curving along the coast. Your mom would have loved this, Micah said quietly. Eva nodded, her eyes stinging. She would have taken a million pictures, and she would have made us stop at every little shop on the way home. We can do that, if you want. Yeah, I want. They stood there for a long time, Noah pressing his face against the glass, pointing at boats. Micah's hand found Eva's. She squeezed it. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For helping me keep her. Promise. On the drive back, they stopped at a small antique shop in a town called Gull's Point. Noah found a model car kit, a 1968 Mustang, of course. Eva bought it for him without hesitating. They stopped at a diner and ate burgers and fries. They stopped at a fruit stand and bought strawberries. They stopped at a bookstore, and Eva found a children's book about cars that Noah immediately claimed. By the time they pulled into Micah's driveway, the sun was setting. Ruth came out to meet them, still in her scrubs. How was it? She asked. Perfect, Noah said, tumbling out with his book and model kit. We went all the way to the lighthouse and Miss Eva bought me this and we sang songs and... Ruth laughed. Okay, go wash up for dinner. Noah ran inside. Ruth looked at Micah and Eva, still sitting in the car. You two look happy. We are, Eva said simply. Good, stay for dinner. I made too much lasagna. Dinner at Ruth's table felt easy, comfortable. Noah talked nonstop about the lighthouse. Ruth asked Eva about her week. Micah helped clear plates and load the dishwasher. When Eva finally left at 8:30, Micah walked her to the car. "Next Sunday?" she asked. "Next Sunday, but maybe somewhere new." "Where?" "I don't know yet. We'll figure it out together." Eva kissed him, slow and sweet in the driveway. When she pulled back, she smiled. "I like figuring things out with you." "Me too." She drove home with the windows down, humming along to the radio. When she got to her townhouse, she hung Noah's drawing on the refrigerator next to the photo from the diner. Her phone buzzed. A text from her father. "Thank you for sharing your day. It sounded wonderful." She replied, "It was. Come with us next time?" 3 dots appeared. Then, "I'd like that." 1 month later, winter started to creep in. The days got shorter. The air turned cold. But Eva's mornings stayed warm. She still brought coffee to the garage 3 times a week. Sometimes she worked on small projects with Micah, helping with oil changes, learning to read diagnostic codes, organizing his chaotic filing system. Ruth started inviting her to family dinners every other Sunday. Noah started calling her Miss Eva less and just Eva more. Graham came by the garage twice more, once for an alignment, once just to talk. On Christmas Eve, they all gathered at Ruth's house. Eva brought a pie. Graham brought wine. Micah brought tools to fix Ruth's squeaky cabinet doors. Noah opened his presents by the tree. New art supplies, the model Mustang they'd built together, a book about engines from Graham. When he got to Eva's gift, he tore the paper carefully. Inside was a framed photo. The 3 of them at the lighthouse, the ocean behind them, all of them smiling. "So you remember," Eva said softly. Noah hugged the frame to his chest. "I won't forget, I promise." Later, after Noah had fallen asleep on the couch and Ruth was in the kitchen washing dishes, Eva and Micah sat on the porch steps. The night was cold and clear. Stars scattered across the sky. "This time last year I was alone," Eva said. "I spent Christmas at my dad's house pretending I was fine, pretending I didn't miss my mom so much it hurt to breathe. And now? Now I'm here, with you, with people who feel like home." Micah pulled her closer. "You are home, for all of us." Eva looked up at him. "I love you." It was the first time she'd said it. The words hung in the cold air, fragile and true. Micah's eyes softened. "I love you too." They kissed under the stars, wrapped in jackets and each other. When they finally went inside, Ruth had saved them both slices of pie. On New Year's Day, Eva and Micah took the Mustang out alone. Just the 2 of them, no destination, no plan. They drove north along the coast, stopping when they felt like it. They found a small beach town and walked the empty pier. They found a cliffside overlook and ate sandwiches in the car. They found a second-hand bookstore and spent an hour browsing, buying nothing but enjoying everything. As the sun started to set, Eva pulled onto the shoulder of the highway, the same stretch where she'd crashed a year ago. "You okay?" Micah asked. "More than okay." She looked at the guardrail, the dent still visible. "A year ago, I thought my life was ending. I thought I'd lost everything that mattered. And now? Now I know I was just beginning. That night, you stopping, helping me breathe, staying until I was safe, that was the start of everything good that came after." Micah took her hand. "You would have been okay without me." "Maybe, but I'm better with you." They sat in the warmth of the car, the engine humming steadily. Eva thought about her mother's voicemail, about promises kept with your hands, about ordinary days that added up to an extraordinary life. "Let's make a promise," Eva said. "Okay. Let's promise to keep choosing this, keep showing up, keep doing the work, even when it's hard, even when it's not perfect." "I promise," Micah said. "Every day." "Every day." Ava echoed. She put the car in gear and pulled back onto the highway. The road stretched ahead, familiar and unknown all at once. Micah's hand rested over hers on the shifter. The sun dipped toward the ocean, painting everything gold. Ava merged into traffic without fear, without hesitation. Just steady and sure, the way Micah had taught her. And as they drove into the new year, into the ordinary, beautiful future they were building together, Eva finally understood what her mother had known all along. The best journeys aren't about the destination. They're about who's sitting beside you when you drive. The end.